from December 14th, the December bills, and then to approve the order of agenda for tonight's meeting. Is there anybody that wants to take something off the consent agenda, or would you like to vote to approve?
Is the order of the agenda set and?
Yep, the order, Madam Vice President is correct.
Okay, so do we need to vote or just?
Yeah.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
As presented, second.
All in favor?
I can pull the board if you'd like.
It's not necessary.
Yes, because it involves money.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sorry.
Pull the board.
Okay, Commissioner Griggs,
Aye.
Commissioner Deutsch,
Aye.
Commissioner Rosted,
Yes.
and has Commissioner Dawson got online yet?
Yes, Vicky's on.
Vicky, are you online?
If you want to continue with the poll, then we would have a much.
Commissioner Morgan?
Put her down as an abstain.
Okay, so let's move along. We have protocol for the public comments. I understand that there isn't anyone here tonight that wants to make a public comment. Is that the case? I'd like to thank you for being here. Nevertheless, it's wonderful that people take interest in the business of the park board. We have Blake Wrigley here. We have Mark Hanze. Did I say that right?
Close enough.
How do you say it?
Hunze.
Hanze. Okay, and Oliver Finneman. So thank you for being here. We're going to proceed to the director's report.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. At this time, we don't have a formal director's report. We have been working on our weekly recap and trying to do a little better job of getting information out. And I guess at this time, I'd ask the commissioners if they have any questions related to that. Otherwise, I do not have a formal director's report.
The enhancements from last week, I like that.
Thank you. And I appreciate all the directors for their input.
Would you like to just say a little bit more about what that was? Jerry.
It was just more information than previous reports, so there's a little more detail there.
And one thing we did add, several of our current larger projects that we tried to get an in-depth report so we can keep the commissioners current with what's going on as each week. Now, if things don't change that week, there might not be any additional updates, but we'll try to keep those as up to date as possible. And then we try to add a little more detail to, what's going on in each department.
Thank you. We want to then move to the foundation director's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the foundation, since our public announcement and our last park board meeting, we have some exciting news to share about our ongoing fundraising efforts for the sports complex. We've had a generous donor step up and pledge $1 million as a matching donation for the Fargo Park District Sports Complex. The donor would like to inspire others to support this highly impactful project and would like to see the entire $1 million gift matched by Giving Hearts Day. So the goal is to use the $1 million gift as a match leading up to and on Giving Hearts Day, which is on February 10th. We're looking to members of our community to help us to meet the whole match, and you can do that by writing a check directly to the Fargo Park District and listing Giving Hearts Day in the memo line, or you can also go online to givingheartsday.org. And right now there's the option to use or to give a pre-gift. So if you go to givingheartsday.org, you can select pre-gift, and whatever amount you donate will be included as a gift on Giving Hearts Day.
And matched.
And matched on Giving Hearts Day. Thank you. If you'd like to have your family or business name inside the facility, naming opportunities are available at $15,000 and above. Those opportunities, so giving $15,000 or above and having it listed in the facility in some form, are also eligible for the $1 million match. You can reach out to either Craig Buer, the project manager, or myself, Brian Arrett, at foundation@fargoparks.com. You can also give online on Giving Hearts Day itself. So just going to givingheartsday.org on February 10th and making a gift that way as well, which certainly would also have the match applied to it. Every dollar counts, which means for every dollar donated, one or more will be raised to help complete this project. Gifts of $100 or more will be recognized in the building. Excuse me. Whatever funds the Park District Foundation raises through Giving Hearts Day goes for this facility, which of course will become a highly impactful beacon for our region. So we're excited. I mean, this is an incredible gift for all of us, an incredible opportunity for the community to help us raise $2 million, during these weeks and days leading up to Giving Hearts Day and on Giving Hearts Day. So we think it's an exciting thing to talk about tonight, and I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody might have.
I have a question. What is the history with Giving Hearts Day as to the donations that have come in without the match?
Are you talking about Giving Hearts Day in general or specifically for the foundation?
For the foundation.
So last year was our first year as a member organization for Giving Hearts Day. And we raised last year 70,000?
I think it was
55, thank you. Yeah, 55,000. Valley Senior Services has been part of Giving Hearts Day for 6 years. Last year we raised like 88,000 or something like that.
I would think that the Park District would have a great opportunity to grow that number in the future.
We certainly agree. And we're excited to have this $1 million gift as matching funds. We think that's going to be encouraging to people, and for this incredible project. I mean, we think the stars are going to line up and we're going to have a fun day on February 10th.
So any gift, $1 to $1 million, will be matched up to $1 million.
Yeah, and talking with the donor, he and his wife are very comfortable assuming that we would raise a minimum of $5,000 on Giving Hearts Day, which I'm sure we will.
A minimum of, what'd you say?
5,000. The intent of the donor is to raise gifts of $5,000 or more, and they're going to treat the gifts on Giving Hearts Day as a single gift. So yeah, everything will be matched.
Any other questions from the commissioners?
No, I just think it's a great way. We've talking about getting into the next levels of contributions and buy-in per se and whatever else. And what a great opportunity to find that and engage people in that. So exciting.
Agreed.
Awesome.
It's been in the newspaper, hasn't it? I think it was somehow buried. Do you know? I thought I saw something about it in the newspaper, but the donor was not divulged, the name of the donor.
I don't think it's been released publicly yet. It's something we have discussed internally, and yes, the donor wishes to remain anonymous.
Permanently or till after Giving Hearts Day?
Permanently for now, until they change their mind.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, we have Cindy Graffio. Is that the right way to say that? Graffio from the Downtown Community Partnership.
Good evening. My name is Cindy Graffio. I am the Executive Director for the Downtown Community Partnership. First and foremost, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I am still fairly new in my role with the DCP, so I really do appreciate the opportunity to come and introduce myself and talk a little bit about who the DCP is, where we're going and what we've been working on lately. So for those who may not be familiar, the Downtown Community Partnership, better known as Downtown Fargo, really at our heart, we are a placemaking organization, and we take a multi-prong approach to that. That means that we are hosting our own signature events like Street Fair and the Holiday Lights Parade and the St. Patrick's Day Parade. We also help to promote the events of our strategic partners and our friends like the Park Board to help promote and drive foot traffic through our downtown area. We also advocate for our members. First and foremost, we exist to promote the downtown businesses. That means advocating for the policies and the procedures and the resources necessary to make downtown Fargo as good as it could possibly be. We also take a role in physical placemaking. That's everything from streetscapes to beautification to the utility box wrap program. We also administer the bid. The Business Improvement District, the gentlemen and workers in those bright blue polos that you see all over downtown picking up litter and removing graffiti, we administer that on behalf of the property owners and the city of Fargo as well. And so that's really their mission is to maintain and beautify the downtown that we currently have. And really, when I talk about what the DCP is and why it's so vitally important, it's really because downtowns, great downtown districts, don't happen by accident. They are built with thought and intention of organizations like yours, committed citizens, people who are donating their time and resources and thought leadership to making downtown Fargo amazing. And so it really is that collaborative effort. And we certainly don't do it alone. And so we appreciate the partnership of the Park Board. We appreciate the partnership of the bid and the city and the other organizations who are also organizing events and doing amazing things in the downtown area. So we know we don't say it enough. Thank you for your partnership and your presence, helping us really drive foot traffic into our downtown area. Like for so many others, 2020 was a very interesting time for the DCP. We had taken a events and marketing track, and when COVID hit and canceled events and there was no foot traffic downtown, we really kind of sat around the table and looked at each other and said, what's next? What role should the DCP be playing in our downtown and in our economic development ecosystem? And we took that opportunity to revisit our strategic plan. So we are now positioned coming out of COVID. Our events are back. We have a brand new strategic plan, and we are out trying to reestablish relationships and connections in the market. And we're ready to step up and take a greater role in that physical placemaking and streetscapes, some more traditional economic development activities. Because really, as we look around downtown, the opportunities that downtown Fargo is really on the cusp of are more of those traditional economic development activities. We have some development sites right along the riverfront that are really once in a lifetime development opportunities. Flood mitigation means that we have a lot of opportunities along that riverway. And if we get it right, we could exponentially change the trajectory of downtown Fargo. And so we're really excited at the opportunities that we have coming up for the DCP and downtown Fargo as a region. And so when people say, how can we get involved? How can we be partners? We are right now, everything's on the table. Coming out of a year of canceled events and canceled programs, everything's on the table looking for evaluation. So we are actively looking for the areas of alignment between the Park Board and Broadway Square and the DCP, between the city's Economic Development Division and the EDC and the Chamber. We're looking for those areas that we can sit at the table and help provide that thought, leadership, and the intention, and making sure that we are getting the best and highest use out of the projects and programs and events that are happening in the downtown area. So really with that, again, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have regarding the DCP and what we have going on.
Thank you. I do have a question. Is there anything that you'd like to mention as a change between your previous strategic plan and the current one that you've created?
You know, the strategic plan did a really good job of codifying what we see as our role in the community in terms of economic development, events, and placemaking. And so I really think a lot of it was what we were currently doing, but we're really going to hone back and focus on our core mission and get back to the basics of supporting our downtown businesses, partnering, working smarter, not harder, making sure that we're elevating and lifting our partners so that we are not, you know, if if there are several organizations involved in the same activity, let's let the best ideas rise to the top. Let the people drive the bus who need to be driving the bus. And so we support where we need to, we lead where we need to, and really it was an identification of where we need to be and where we need to let others shine.
Just reflecting upon the bid and your relationship with them, they're supported by taxes of those who participate in the bid district, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so how does your part of that work? Are you supported by the local the downtown businesses, or are you supported in some other way?
So the downtown business district is really a mechanism for property owners in an identified area to pool resources. And we use the city's tax assessment, special assessment powers to levy those funds on people's property taxes. And then that business improvement district fund, we administer that on behalf of the city. And so the DCP receives a small administrative fee, but then we contract block by block out for the actual street level services.
I see. And then, but the second part of the question is you have memberships, right?
Correct.
So that means that they buy into the downtown community partnership.
So we administer the bid. So it's easy to confuse us as one organization. It is two. The Business Improvement District is a separate financial entity from the Downtown Community Partnership. The Downtown Community Partnership, yes, is a membership-based organization. Think of us kind of like a mini chamber of commerce specifically for the downtown area. So we advocate, we have events, trainings for our businesses, resources, that type of thing. And then the Business Improvement District is fully funded by those special assessments.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. So how many members do you have?
We have upwards of 190 at the moment.
That's good.
Yes, we are. We were pleasantly surprised throughout the pandemic that our membership stayed. I mean, we lost a few, but we stayed strong and very well positioned. And coming out of COVID with several new businesses, we are very optimistic about investorship and members in the upcoming year.
Wonderful. Does anybody else have questions?
So you're managed by a board of the members?
Correct. The DCP is a 501c6. We are a nonprofit organization. We have a board of directors, just like every other nonprofit. Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
How often do you meet?
Quarterly now. We were meeting monthly last year. We are now, with new leadership, we're moving into a quarterly meeting pattern. Mhm.
Great, thank you.
How many board members do you have?
Currently, we have 11 voting members and 3 non-voting members.
Okay. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, number 5, board to consider approval and award bids for the Fargo Sports Complex, Dave Leaker and Oliver Finneman, Director of Pre-Construction, McGough Construction, presenters. Or is it
Thank-
McGough? McGough.
Thank you. And we also have, as you mentioned, Mark Hanzi with JLG Architects to help answer any questions. So commissioners, just a little past history recap. At the November 9th, 2021 board meeting, the Fargo Park Board passed a motion to approve the capital projects funding model as presented and authorized administration to work with the construction manager to solicit bids for the Fargo Sports Complex. Total project cost was set at $78.6 million regarding this funding model. Since the November board meeting, McGough Construction solicited and received bids back regarding the sports complex. McGough split the total project into 34 bid packages and received back 95 bids from subcontractors. Bid prices came back favorably and below base estimates. At the December 29th meeting, 2021 Facilities Committee meeting, the administration presented a gross maximum price, or GMP as it'll be called later, for the project, recommended alternates and owner soft costs for a total project cost of $77,659,657. The breakdown of these costs are as presented. Construction costs for the CRMA GMP is $68,218,068. The recommended alternates as presented at Facilities Committee meeting was $564,569. And the owner soft costs, this is, if you took the building and turned it upside down and shook it out, this is everything that would fall out. Furniture, nets, things like that. $8,877,020 for a total construction cost of $77,659,657. So the supporting documentation for this memo from McGough Construction includes a CMAR GMP, the total project costs, a low responsible bid summary, and then our typical bid tab as shown on the back page. So we can go through those now. So the first sheet is the gross maximum sheet showing the different, we've got construction costs totaled out at $63,161,359. Then we've got the miscellaneous costs associated with construction. For that totaled up cost is $65,601,235. And then we also have fees and contingency, which totals up to a total construction cost of $68,218,068. That's 100% of the actual construction cost. So if we go to the next page, we can go through the recommended alternates. And this is a list of alternates that were reviewed through the directors group, the architect, and the construction manager. And, while, it did come in below that our original price of $78.6 million, we felt that we wanted to vet these very, very well and only accept the alternates that you really needed to be taken at the beginning of construction because it's something that you really couldn't do later because, for example, of grinding the floor concrete, you just didn't want all that dust once you had a finished product out there, and then you would have dust and you have to pay for the cleanup of that. So these are a lot of the alternates that are vetted by the directors, and we felt that were just, was a need for this project going forward. So we can go through those very quickly here. If we start out with that gross maximum price of $68,218,068, alternate 3B is a gas line for the outdoor grills, and this is for a future patio that would be on the outside of kind of those three front-facing public rooms. Right now, we've got one room in there. The two other rooms were an alternate, but this is just to get that gas line there because this is something that if you had to go back and do it later, it would cost you quite a bit more. So it's a gas line for future outdoor grills, $5,695. Painting of the PEMB structure. This is the pre-engineered metal building. This is the building that goes over the turf area. So this is all the steel superstructure you're going to see. And we just felt that once this was erected, that we needed to put a finish coat of paint on there. Just, you could have rusting, you could have nicks, scrapes, and, we wanted a finished look. We wanted to preserve. We didn't want it to rust in the future. For $113,651. Alternate 9C is acoustic sound paneling in the basketball courts. This is the only feature we have in there to attenuate the noise in a basketball court, which is a hard surface walls. So we needed something in there to dampen the noise. $207,257. 13C is acoustical fins. This is in the concourse area. These are also a sound attenuating feature that helps break up the sound in the concourse. This has also been built into how we're going to recognize our donors of $121,978. The interactive wallet mezzanine. This is the upstairs. This is for the upstairs lobby, and this is just roughing in the IT and the electrical service. Upgrade main floor concrete to mid aggregate polish. This is what I mentioned earlier. This is where you take a typical power troweled concrete surface throughout the concourse on the main floor or the first floor, and you actually grind the top layer of that off to expose some of that rock aggregate, and it gives you more of an aesthetic look and helps hide some of the flaws in the concrete. That's something that you just wouldn't want to take after the fact and once the building is open. So that's kind of a mid-level finish, $58,103. Change to high rate or Alternate 19, change to high-range turf product. This is Field Turf, inventor of the synthetic athletic surface. This is a $15,000, $134 upgrade, which extends our warranty from 5 to 10 years, and it also adds an extra fiber in there to hold the infill in place. 22A is a gas line for mezzanine fireplace. This is to get that gas line piped in there during construction, which would be much easier than when the project is done. 22B is a complete build out for the mezzanine fireplace of $50,000. This is a holdout amount, budgeted amount. Is our anticipation that we would like to try to match this with a donor. So we have a 50-50 cost share of that. So this price has been reduced from what the initial price was. Floor tile in the mezzanine level restrooms. This is a second floor restrooms. And one question, that I asked is how come we can't, grind that polish on that second floor as we did on the first floor? And it's a lightweight concrete product because you want to reduce weight when you're on a second story. So you don't have that possibility to put that grind finish on there. So we went ahead and accepted that alternate for the tile in those restrooms to give it a finished look. 28B is add a conduit only, and this is for the outside stormwater retention pond. And this just gets us a conduit from our main electrical service room inside the facility out to that pond. So we can add fountains in the future to help aerate that pond, and that's also an aesthetic feature. 29, metal floor walk-off grate. This is at the front entry doors, and you've seen them in some businesses where it's an open grate that it kind of knocks the rock and the salt and the sand off your shoes so it doesn't get tracked throughout the facility. For $34,631. And then alternate D1, this is actually a reduction. Change, this is a fastener for your outside panel system. If we took that $107,000, it would be a concealed panel or a concealed fastener. We chose to go with an exposed fastener just to save the $107,240. This is not going to affect the weather tightness of the building or anything like that. So we felt this was a good one not to take. So that gets us a total price with alternates of $68,782,637. And then if you add owner soft costs, which I mentioned before, this is everything that if you turned the building upside down would fall out. It's not attached to the facility, of $8,877,020 for a total project cost, $77,659,657. So that's the recommended alternates along with the construction costs. One thing we did add to what we presented at the facilities committee meeting was a list of the low responsible bidders. And this is one thing our construction manager worked through to vet all the contractors to make sure they didn't miss something in their scope of work that would come up later and require, additional costs. So they worked through that with all the bidders, made sure they were able to complete their tasks, their scope of work. And that's just kind of a summarized list of the winning low bidders or qualified low bidders. And then if you look at the next 3 pages, we have our typical bid tabulation sheet, which we always highlight. We typically highlight our selected or recommended low bidder in green. And then if we have any issues with some bidders, as you can see there, on a couple items, we got Ledger Stone. After vetting them with our construction manager, there was just some issues. They missed, a portion of that scope of work, so they weren't qualified to do that job. So all the recommended low qualified bidders are shown in green. And that just gives you an idea of who bid the project and who's going to receive the low bids on the project. So with that, we'll open up for any questions for myself, any directors that it might pertain to, or our architect or construction manager.
So for the record, we're about $1 million below what we thought it would be going into it, correct?
Yeah, initially we were about 1.5 and we recommended those additional alternates for about 500 euro, correct?
So that's great news. Could have been easily $1.5 million over. So
Right, exactly.
And I think it's fair to point out that you know, as you went through all those alternates, they were things that were necessary to be done in the future and are going to save us significant dollar amounts by doing them during the initial construction phase as well.
Correct.
They weren't things like, oh, well, since we have extra money, let's add this and this. They were things that were, you know, let's, if we are under, let's use this as an opportunity to save more money as we move forward by not having to go back and do these things after the initial construction costs.
And they were thoroughly vetted through the director group. We discussed it at facilities, so it's been line by line, just as Dave read them. We went through and had a fairly healthy discussion on what we should add back in or take out, so.
Yep.
Well, this is a bit of minutia, but I'm interested in the concrete. The product sounds a little bit like terrazzo, but without the stone. And I know that terrazzo can be installed in with various tints and colors. And I haven't heard anything about the color scheme. I assume that it'll have something to do with the park district schemes. And I was just wondering if you had considered something other than the gray color of the stone, or how it's going to be enhancing the floor.
Yeah, and I'll answer what I know of it, and then I'll maybe turn it over to Oliver. But from what I know about, typical concrete, you've got, aggregate probably up to 3/4 of an inch, and that could be anywhere down to sand size aggregate. And, then as you float off the concrete and power trowel the concrete, you get that cream layer on top, which you give that nice even surface, which is nice and smooth, but it doesn't lend itself to being very aesthetic. So what this does is you're correct. It looks like terrazzo without putting that 1/4 inch of, whether it's glass or different color rock or different color grout in there, and then you grind that down. This is, you just take that probably top 1/4 inch of the concrete off and you expose that whatever type of aggregate has been put in there. And I'm guessing it's going to be, on that, the grays and the tans and the maroons. And so your vast majority of it is going to look, the dark gray scale or the lighter gray scale with those mottled colors of, typical, as you see gravel on a highway or anything like that, or on a country road, but that just ground down so you expose that.
I see. So how much square footage is that going to be? I'm just wondering about the general look.
That'll be, and you might know better the square footage, but it'll be the whole concourse area on the first floor. It'll be all the public facing bathrooms and rooms that the public can go into. The locker rooms and back locker rooms like that wouldn't be ground. Eventually that might get rubber flooring put over the top of it, but that'd just be a power trowel finish. So
Weren't the bathrooms going to be tile?
that's on the second floor,
Oh.
because I asked that exact same question, Jerry, is why can't we just grind the top floor either? But it's a lightweight concrete with something different in there than that aggregate, so.
Yeah, so upstairs there's actually. Sure.
Yeah, here you can ask the guy about the aesthetics
camera that
and
way.
selections.
Upstairs, there's actually fiberglass mesh put into the concrete to keep it lightweight. So if you would grind that, you would expose those fibers and you'd get fuzzy concrete, which wouldn't be appealing at all. So we really try to avoid that, and the tile is the better solution. One of the other questions was about how approximately large is that main floor, and it's about 30,000 square feet of this polished concrete that we'd be anticipating on that main floor.
I was wondering about, just thinking about that amount of square footage and the color and what it would be contributing to the sense of the aesthetic sense of the building.
So a couple things there. The color, there's actually a fair amount of color in the aggregate, the rocks, whether it's sandstone or limestone or granite that happens to be in there. So it can range, as Dave mentioned, from grays and browns to reds and maroons and purples. So part of the mystery of it is we don't know what that's going to be. It'll be an aggregate mix that gives us kind of a natural look, with the majority of the cream and the cement being a light gray color. But one of the things, Don, that we did as a deliberate design driver for color for the building is we wanted the building itself to be relatively muted in color, but the activities within the building to bring the color. So the turf being green, The track upstairs, I think, is blue and green, the orange of the basketball courts. That's where we wanted the color to come from. So we deliberately wanted to downplay the colors of the rest of the building and let the activity really shine. So that works well with, we feel that the polished concrete works well with our scheme there.
Yeah.
That's very thoughtful. Thank you.
I asked this at the facilities, but I wasn't in person, so I don't know if I heard exactly. But the main concourse floor at Shields Arena, what is that?
I
look
believe
like?
that's polished concrete as well. However, that is actually an elevated slab because there's a tunnel below. So there's some more challenges there with cracking and quality that we won't have nearly as many challenges because we're a slab on grade and we have a lot more ability to control the cracking.
Okay. Because it's not very aesthetically appealing.
Right, the cracks really draw attention. I'm not going to stand up here and say there won't be cracks because I will
Sure.
guarantee you there'll be cracks in concrete. But we have the ability to put control joints and saw cuts and really manage those cracks the best that we can and make sure that they're minimized so it doesn't become a detriment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
So I have a question about some of the bids that we see here. So there are, this is Vicky, obviously. There are a number of categories where we have just one bid, and I'm curious how comfortable we are with those bids.
There's a couple categories with one bid, and are we comfortable with those one bids? Yeah. So Oliver with McGough Construction will answer that question. Commissioner Dawson?
Thank you.
Yeah, regarding the categories that we received one bid in, we did, for advertising the project, we put it out publicly, and listed in the paper. We also sent it out to the builders exchanges in Grand Forks and Fargo. So we've reached out, another 1,000+ bidders, and then we actually sent it out to about another 800 individuals to get pricing. So where we're at right now with the current construction environment is there's a lot of work happening, and people knowing what their capabilities are, finding new workforce, they're very hesitant to take on more work than they can. And there's been a number of bidders that had looked at the project, they'd like to do it, but they knew that their backlog for next year wouldn't allow for it. So say all that to say that, yes, we're comfortable with the bids we've received. They were in line with the budget that we had projected back in July. We've kind of thoroughly reviewed them, and we feel like all of the contractors that are shown here have a very competent bid.
Thank you. The last item on there says final cleaning budget. Well, maybe it's the last item. It says budget. Is that a company, or does that just mean how much we've budgeted for the final cleaning?
That is a budget. We did not
Okay,
receive.
so that's not the
bid.
name of a company.
Correct.
So
Got it.
you're saying that, I hear that you're saying that the price, even when there's a single bidder, you feel like the price isn't out of line for the fact that they knew they wouldn't have other people bidding against them per se, but you have business experience with all of these vendors and know that they've delivered in previous jobs.
Correct.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Oliver.
Well, I just want to say that, as this idea has nurtured to where it's at today, we've had to make as a board a number of decisions that were significant, but I look at today as momentous. This is a momentous day. It makes it a reality. And it's just, to me, it's a great day for Fargo.
I concur.
Agreed.
Well, if there's no other discussion, I will move to approve and award the bids for the Fargo Sports Complex as presented.
Second,
Double second.
double second.
Half to Stacy, half to Jerry.
Hold the board.
Commissioner Griggs,
Aye.
Commissioner Deutsch,
Aye.
Commissioner Rosted,
Yes.
Commissioner Dawson,
Aye.
Commissioner Morgan.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you, commissioners. What was that?
That's Vicky saying, cheering.
Wow.
Did I do something? What did I do?
We're waiting for you to say, let's go.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's
Oh,
go!
Barry, did you get all those O's? Okay.
It's really hard to take cues when you can't see anyone. I do have one last question. I'm curious about, are there any contractors in the room who put in bids that are here at the meeting?
What?
No, there's one other one besides McGough.
Okay.
I'm with BDT Mechanical.
BDT Mechanical?
Got it. Well, congratulations, BDT, and welcome.
Yeah, there was a lot of bidders on that particular line item, wasn't there?
That was the big one. You sharpened your pencil pretty darn tight. If I look at a few of the others, it came in very close. So congratulations and do good work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything, any comments? All right, then we'll move on to number 7. Let's see. Yes. 6, board to consider approval to solicit for bids for special inspections, testing for Fargo Sports Complex. Dave Leaker, presenter.
Thank you. And in going in line with approval of the first item, in this item, in alignment with our procurement policy number 390, we are requesting permission to publicly bid for special inspections and testing for the Fargo Sports Complex. The estimated cost for this is about $200,000, which requires us to ask the board for permission to put this out for bid. The project timeline for the project. So this is testing, for concrete testing, soil compaction testing, everything associated with the construction of this project. We just need an outside source to confirm this for the city of Fargo and their permitting process. So the projected timeline for the project, is just something that goes in line with the project. Public bid opening for this testing bid is February 10th of 22. So we'll work on that right now. We'll have that bid opening in February. We will take that to the February Facilities Committee meeting for review by our Facilities Committee, and then bring it to the March full board for approval. And then we'll get that into the hopper for, construction of the sports complex. And then again, the project completion is the spring, summer of 2024. So we just asked for your approval to put this out for bid.
Would someone like to make a motion?
Yeah,
I'd like to ask a question.
Oh,
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Jerry. I can ask during discussion.
okay. I'll just make the motion to approve the solicitation of bids for the special inspections testing for the Fargo Sports Complex.
Second.
Discussion. Now,
And
It's been moved and
this is-
seconded, so Vicky, proceed with your questions.
thank you. So this is something that's standard, happens for any project of this size and nature, something we're required to do. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe it's standard operating procedure for any project that has to go through the city of Fargo for the permitting process. It's just that, the size of this project, it came in at that $200,000 level, give or take, and, we just need board approval to put it out for bid since it's that expenditure of that amount of funds. So if it was less than that, we'd still put it out for bids, but we wouldn't have to ask permit. It's the fee associated with this is all built into the all-in cost.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other comments? Dave, poll the board.
Commissioner Griggs, Commissioner Deutsch,
Aye.
Commissioner Rosted,
yes.
Commissioner Dawson,
Aye.
Commissioner Morgan.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, next, board to consider approval to solicit for bids for Osgood sloughing repair project. Dave Beats, presenter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, in your packet is information very similar to the last item we just heard. We're asking for your permission to bid this project. If you remember, there's been discussion about this project. Last year, we did a geotechnical analysis of the Osgood Golf Course In several areas, we have slopes there that are starting to slough and they're needing repair. And so with that, we're asking for permission to bid this project. This project was originally budgeted at about $1 million. We have dollars set aside in this year's capital budget for this project. Since that initial estimate, we've gotten some good news. The project now is estimated to be about $550,000 to $600,000 due to us being able to source some clay from the city of Fargo. And also knowledge that we can reduce some of the spoil or the sloughed soils that have failed. We now can utilize those right on site and blend those into the golf course. So there's significant savings from when we initially asked for this project to move forward. But in line with our procurement policy, as Dave mentioned earlier, this will exceed the $200,000 threshold. So we do need to ask for permission to publicly bid this project. So I'd be happy to try and answer any questions you may have.
Dave, can you delay a bunch of other projects for just a little bit to get a half price dollars on it?
You know, the city of Fargo right now has a plethora of clay. So if we have some projects that need clay, we could get a really bargain deal there.
So this is us working smarter and helping save some costs, correct?
Absolutely. And I think it really testifies to the strong partnership we have with our city partners and that collaboration that we have on an ongoing basis where we keep each other in loop of, you know, the different projects that are happening throughout the community. And we take advantage of those efficiencies, I guess you would call them, when they're there to take advantage of.
Love it.
Can you remind us how it'll affect the golf course play?
You know, our goal is to really minimally impact the golf course play. There will be some disruption. Our goal is to have this project done in the fall when play starts to fall off, no pun intended there. So we're going to try our hardest not to impact golf. That's one of our primary concerns as we enter into really figuring out the logistics of this. These two areas, one of them is right, if you're familiar at Osgood, right at the end of the driving range or by green number 8. And this is where the most significant portion is there in my mind because we have our infrastructure there for our pump station, how we irrigate the golf course. And right now the fault is essentially running right to the heart of that building. And so that's the imperative nature of getting this done kind of in a timely basis. The other area is on hole 6, right behind 6 green. There's a sloughing there that has you know, impacted the drainage of the golf course in that area and along the area on 8. The area on 8, I think we can get by with really minimally impacting it. We're going to try and take a route along the driving range. There will be traffic in the parking lot, so that will definitely impact our patrons. When we get to the hole 6, we're going to have to cross over from the maintenance area to get to that portion, so there will be some disruption there. The great thing about Osgood is it's a 12-hole facility, so we'll always be able to keep 9 holes in play, and we'll try our best to, you know, keep as many holes above 9 all the time, but we know we can do this project while keeping 9 holes in play.
And with our brand new golf professional out there, communication will be key for the multitudes of people who flock to Osgood to play golf. So I'm sure he's aware of all of that and how to start communicating.
He is. He's definitely been part of our planning, and as we now zero in on exactly when this project will happen and all of the logistical issues that go along with that, he's going to be front and center with us, helping to make those decisions so he has a way to accurately portray that back to our patrons.
Anyone else have questions or comments?
So just to clarify, this has already been budgeted for. We've approved the budget. You're letting us know as you're asking us to put it out for bid, which we've essentially already agreed to, that it's hopefully going to be about half the price that you had originally planned on it being. So with that, I guess I'll make the motion to allow you to put it out, solicit for bids as presented.
Second.
Third.
Excuse me. No more comments? Poll the board.
Commissioner Griggs,
Aye.
Commissioner Deutsch,
Aye.
Commissioner Morgan. Oh,
Aye.
my bad. Commissioner Rosted,
Yes.
Commissioner Dawson,
Aye.
Commissioner Morgan.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
Thank you, commissioners.
Right on.
Thank you.
I like to see a formal motion for adjournment because sometimes that doesn't happen. So would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
All right. So moved.
All right. Thank you, commissioners. Thanks, everybody. Contractors, architects, directors.